since we are ready to go live, and it is now 7 o'clock. Bingo. It is time to call the Wednesday, May 8th, 2024 meeting of the Westfield, Washington Township Advisory Plan Commission to order. If staff could please confirm the presence of a quorum.
Mr. Bunkefist?
Present.
Mr. Horke?
Here.
Mr. Khan?
Here.
Dr. Keene?
Here.
Mr. Maui?
Here.
Mr. McCarty?
Here.
Mr. Mooney?
Here.
Mr. Neal?
Present.
And Mr. Woodard. We have a quorum.
Excellent. There are no changes that I'm aware of to the agenda, so we are ready to move on to approval of the minutes of our tax day, April 15th, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion regarding the minutes of that meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second. Which was it? Were you? The approve, and who was this? Okay, you guys were so quick. Mr. McCarty moves. Seconds. If we're all here, we can do the approval by a roll call vote. Everybody in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? Minutes are approved. If staff can now take care of outlining the rules of procedure for tonight's meeting.
Yep, so just some general rules of conduct for this evening. Please do not disrupt the proceedings in any way. If you need to have a private discussion, then we ask you to please quietly exit the room. Please silence your devices at this time. If you must answer them, then we ask that you please quietly exit the room. Is my mic cutting in and out a little bit?
Sort of hear you.
I just want to make sure. If you're attending in person and wish to speak on a matter in regard to a petition scheduled for a public hearing, then please line up along the wall. Once the public hearing has been opened, please sign in the speaker sheet. As you approach the podium to speak, for efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. During your comments, please state your name and address into the microphone. For the record, we ask that you do not repeat previously stated comments. Your presentation will be timed, and you will be advised when there is approximately 30 seconds remaining. If you are not attending in person, comments regarding a petition, they should be emailed to planners@westfield.in.gov with the petition name or number included in the subject line. Those comments will be forwarded to the Plan Commission members and the petitioner. We would like to remind everyone to please speak directly into the microphone so your comments can be put onto the record. Also, please mute your microphone when not speaking. If you come up to the podium to speak, please ensure that the microphone is on, as indicated by the green light at the base. So for this evening, we have items of business and we have public hearing items. So just wanted to cover a few items of procedures for the public hearing items this evening. For items that require a public hearing, tonight's meeting has the following structure. The department will summarize the petition. The petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present to the Plan Commission. The president will open a public hearing. Individuals will be given 3 minutes to speak, and those representing a group will be given 5 minutes to speak. Only one member of the group will be given 5 minutes to speak. For efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. The public hearing will be closed when all interested members of the audience have had a chance to be heard and all emails received during the meeting have been provided to Plan Commission members. The petitioner will then be given 10 minutes to respond to comments without interruption. The Commission will follow with any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the petition. This may include additional discussion with the petitioner. And finally, for items of business this evening, so for items that do not require a public hearing, the department will summarize the petition and highlight any changes or modifications since the item was last before the Plan Commission. The department will also describe what, if any, action is necessary to be taken. The petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present any changes. The Commission will then act upon the petition. So that concludes our rules of procedures for this evening, and we can proceed.
Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda, which has a single item for this meeting. Is there a motion regarding the consent agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion from Mike Neal, seconded by Mark Keene. Where we are on here. Staff will please call the roll.
Mr. Bunkefist?
Yes.
Mr. Horke?
Yes.
Mr. Khan?
Yes.
Dr. Keene?
Yes.
Mr. Maui?
Yes.
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
And Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to items of business. First item of business is the Westwood PUD, petition 2403-PUD-05. In front of us for a recommendation to council. If staff can summarize, and then we'll hear from the petitioner.
Yeah, so good evening. Thank you, President, members of the Plan Commission. Just wanted to provide a brief update since the workshop meeting. For the record, Weston Rogers with the Community Development Department. So the proposal before you this evening is the Westwood Plan Unit Development District. This item is eligible for a recommendation. Just want to pull up the site plan there. So as I was saying, this item is eligible for a recommendation from the Plan Commission at tonight's meeting. For contextual purposes, the real estate is 10.21 acres in size and is generally located at 18342 Spring Mill Road. This item was last before the Plan Commission for a public hearing at the March 4th meeting, and a workshop meeting was held at the April 15th meeting. Since the petition was last before the APC, the petitioner has incorporated modifications into the proposal. A more in-depth analysis of these changes has been provided in the associated staff report, but I wanted to highlight a few of the primary updates, which include, at this point, there is one permitted commercial lot with a minimum size of 1.2 acres fronting Spring Mill Road. That lot would require either one building with a minimum square footage of 10,000 square feet or two buildings with a minimum size of 5,000 square feet each. The updated ordinance also requires no parking. Well, it would not permit any parking between the front building facade and the right-of-way of Spring Mill Road, and that would include on the sides of the proposed buildings on this lot as well. So the parking would be in the rear of the property, more or less. In addition, one update is included in the revised ordinance that's before you includes the southern landscape buffer has been extended along the entirety of the southern perimeter of the commercial lot, and the timing of that buffer would be installed at the time of development of the event center. Updates were also incorporated into the architectural character exhibit imagery that was previously discussed at workshop. So a few of those images have been removed and a few images have been added. With that highlights the big changes, or the changes of note. Russell Brown with Clark Quinn Law is here tonight. He intends on making just a brief presentation to update the Plan Commissions on the modifications to the proposal. And both the petitioner and staff are available for questions, should there be any from the Plan Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
Good evening. For the record, Russell Brown, Clark Quinn Law, 320 North Meridian Street, Suite 1100 in Indianapolis. Weston, as usual, did a great job of kind of summarizing the changes that have been made. I wanted to point out one other thing, and then also just note that there was a request that came from pre-council meeting today to remove the development amenities as a permitted use in the supported retail area. The petitioner is agreeable to do that. So a recommendation tonight, we would ask that it be made with the condition that that be removed, and we would be happy to do so. One thing that did happen in between last meeting and tonight is that the petitioner did spend time with the economic development staff of the city. And so some of the changes that are included, including the fact that we have a proposed concept plan for those outlot buildings came as a direct result of that conversation. We had originally proposed to do a minimum 10,000 square foot building at that location, and economic development staff encouraged us to consider the opportunity to do either two 5,000 square foot buildings or a 10,000 square foot building, knowing that it might be a situation where you don't have a 10,000 square foot user but have 5,000 square foot users that are ready to go. So rather than painting ourselves into a situation where it sits empty versus is developed, we did make that change. So we included as a concept plan on page 13 of the ordinance, just shows how those two would lay out. Again, giving staff the support they need so that they can approve that if that's in fact how development occurs. Also, that did come out of that was, as Weston mentioned, no parking kind of near the access road or southern border behind or to the side of those buildings to make sure that all parking is kind of internal to the site. We also did add, on the site plans, added some pedestrian connectivity. That was a request to make sure that we showed on the concept plan. So that is there as well. Otherwise, Weston did a great job of kind of summarizing. I think that these modifications are in line with the discussion we had a couple weeks ago. And so it remains our hope that you would send this to the council with a favorable recommendation this evening.
Thank you. Fellow commissioners, do we have questions or comments for the petitioners team or staff?
I was just going to mention one of two things. One, I appreciated the explanation from our Economic Development Director, Janelle Fairman, on the reasoning behind this, and I think this is more than reasonable to allow you guys the freedom between the choices in the future of what might work best. So I'm totally fine with that. And then you had mentioned it, so I appreciate you bringing it up. That today it was brought up about wanting to strike the development amenities. So that was something new to me as well today. So I appreciate you just being proactive on that.
Any other commissioners with questions or comments for staff or the petitioners team? That being the case, we are ready for a motion on a recommendation to council.
I'll make a motion to send a favorable recommendation of 2403 PUD 05 Westwood PUD with the following change of striking development amenities in the supportive retail area.
Second that.
We have a motion from Victor McCarty, seconded by Andre Maui for favorable with a condition. If staff can please call the roll.
Mr. Horke,
Yes.
Mr. Khan,
Yes.
Dr. Keen,
Yes.
Mr. Maui,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
and Mr. Bunkafus.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on. Second item of business is the UDO General Patch 24.01, petition 2403-ZOA-01. Lauren will take care of everything once she can get the microphone where we can hear her.
Once I lower the microphone to an acceptable level.
Or get a stool.
All right. So this is the recommendation. So tonight the item before you is the recommendation for UDO patch 24.01, part 2. As you may recall, a couple months ago, you guys forwarded a recommendation for just the portion covering the floodplain administrator, so we could get that through quicker and help get someone hired a little bit faster. That has worked, so thank you very much for that. So this is all of the remaining items that are not related to the floodplain administrator. Obviously, this is a 10-page document. No one wants me to read through all of these very interesting updates. I'm happy to answer any questions or go over a specific section if anyone has something they'd like me to focus on.
Thank you. We have had prior discussions about this, so I would expect we are all reasonably familiar, but we've had another opportunity to review and consider, so there may be further questions. Are there any questions for Lauren or other staff members that may have better ability to weigh in?
Thank you for your work on this. This is my first go around with APC, so I think things are different than a BZA. This is you explained it well, and so I appreciate your diligence on that.
Thank you.
Lots of things that were out of date that have needed updating for a while, so it's good that we're making this progress. If there aren't any other questions or comments, we are looking for a motion to council.
Make a motion to recommend 2403-ZOA-01 UDO General Patch 24.01 to council.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by, or motion by Billy Bunkfus, seconded by McNeil. If staff could please call the roll.
Mr. Khan,
Yes.
Dr. Keen,
Yes.
Mr. Maui,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkafus,
Yes.
and Mr. Horke.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. That concludes our items of business. We now have two public hearing items, first of which is Vita of Westfield petition 2405-PUD-11. can provide a summary. Now that the microphone's at the right level for Lauren. And
Thank
then we'll
you.
hear from the petitioner if they have a presentation.
Though I do think that you were right, Wes. I think some of these microphones are cutting in and out. Yeah, I've noticed it a couple times. So
I saw your head nodding that way when that comment was made, and it sort of does seem every now and then like, what did you say?
We will get that looked at. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No problems. Thanks, Christopher.
that was not directed at you. I hope that didn't sound pointed.
All right.
All
Moving
right.
on. Vita of
Moving on.
Westfield.
Okay, so yes, the item before you, once we get a map up or something. For the record, Lauren Gillingham with the Community Development Department. Item before you this evening is the public hearing for the Vita of Westfield PUD. The petition proposes to rezone approximately 13 acres near the northwest corner of 32 and Springmill Road from EI enclosed industrial to PUD for the purposes of developing an age-restricted for-rent residential retirement village. This community is designed as kind of a sort of aging in place continuum of care concept. So starting out, you have on your left some attached age-restricted 55 plus kind of independent living units, and then to the right you have 3 stories of assisted living, so a little bit less independence, more assistance, and then finally memory care is the third component of this, allowing residents to kind of move as necessary to meet their needs and not have to completely uproot everything, everything they know. A neighborhood meeting was held last week. There were no attendees, no external attendees. And a public hearing was probably noticed and advertised. I did send kind of a last minute update to you guys with a red line and an update to the ordinance. One was striking not restriction, but originally the PUD struck the requirement for bike racks. So essentially the applicant added that back in, so the bike racks will be provided as required by the UDO at the ratio required. And then the second was, sorry, I completely forgot about the link when I updated eGov. That is why it's not working. You'll just have to take my word for it, I suppose. The second update to that is language that the applicant is, willing to dedicate right of way to continue Tournament Trail. So Tournament Trail currently ends at Springmill Road. As you know, that's a east to west frontage road. It currently ends at Springmill Road. With this development, it is not proposed to continue. However, the applicant is willing to dedicate kind of a corner with their entrance so that the city may continue it down to the south, kind of scoop under this wetland detention area to enable development to the west. And that will be done at plating, up to the city engineer whether or not he wants to take advantage of that. But that was added to the PUD. Matt Skelton with Church Hidden Antrim is here to answer any questions, as am I. I'm sure he will do a much better job of explaining that frontage road dedication thing.
And we will get that ordinance uploaded to the agenda, do that document error. So we'll get that taken care of in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
It just won't refresh. Oh. Good evening, members
Mr.
of the
Skelton, yes, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good evening, members of the Plan Commission. For the record, put this back up here. For the record, my name is Matt Skelton at the law firm of Church Hidden Antrim with offices at 116 North Union Street here in town. With me this evening is Zeke Turner and his board of directors, owner of Vita of Westfield and Vita Investment Holdings. The Vita is a Hamilton County real estate company. They specialize in building retirement campuses. The Vita team is pleased to share its plans here this evening for Vita of Westfield. Lauren has already oriented you to the site pretty well. There will be, I'll just give you a little bit more context. So this is a continuum of care. There are 164 living units, 44 garden-style cottage homes on the property. There are 80 assisted living units planned and 40 memory care units planned. All of the architectural details, architectural plans have been submitted to you. They are very detailed plans. They call out all the building materials, but just for the record, it's all the exterior building materials are masonry and hardy plank type material. The assisted living and memory care building includes various on-site amenities, such as a spa, a salon, indoor and outdoor restaurant style dining areas. It even has a cafe bistro and a pub area, and also shared laundry facilities and lounge areas within the main structure. Outdoor amenities on the campus include a fire pit, 2 courtyards with water features, including one that is a protected area here for the memory care units. And also pickleball and bocce ball, outdoor dining patio and grill area in that area, yes. And pet washing area, a dog walk park, and walking paths. So it's a well-designed campus. Vita this is not their first project, so they've done this. We did, as Lauren noted, have a neighborhood meeting. It was nice spending time with her, but we did not have any members of the and Victor, members of the public turn up. The amendment, hopefully you'll get to see it here. We sent that in advance, striking the language that exempted the bicycle parking provision. This is easily accommodated, and so we default to the city standards. And then lastly, what I think Lauren was struggling with is we've included language in the PUD that obligates the developer to dedicate at the option of the city at no cost to the city the right-of-way necessary to essentially extend this. This is a fixed point because it's the intersection location with the development across the street. That's why it's located where it is. So this would allow that intersection to remain at the place where it needs to be on Spring Mill, and then just dip south. Which, incidentally, that alignment is about the same alignment as all the other frontage roads to the east for Tournament Trail. So we thank you for your consideration this evening. We have happy to respond to your questions either now or after the public hearing. And in the event that there are no substantive issues remaining for further discussion, we would appreciate your positive recommendation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Not sure I understand why we're having trouble getting the ordinance, because I looked at it at home earlier and I can look at it on my phone right now. So somebody just doesn't like us here in City Hall. Talking to you, Christopher. No, not really. All right. This is an item that requires a public hearing. And before I open it, a real-time reminder if there is any virtual attendee that has plans on making comments virtually. If you haven't already, please quickly start typing and send your email to planners@westfield.in.gov and include in the subject line Vita of Westfield. That being said, it is 7:24. I'm opening the public hearing. Looks like we have our first willing volunteer.
I don't do this much, but when I do a little research, so I'm going to reference my phone.
No problems. Proceed.
Casey Hires, 14940 Declaration Drive. Been a citizen of Westfield for 15 years. Just want to express some opposition to this project. Just a couple flaws. A couple main concerns, setback concerns. The intent of the setback is to create a buffer between traffic on street and where people live. By reducing the setback from 60 feet to 20 feet, the residents would be too close to Spring Mill Road and not protect the privacy. This would lead to a second concern. Quality concerns: if the materials on the facade have no restrictions and the setback is reduced, the facade of the building would be very noticeable along the road. In this case, the quality material facade would be desired to maintain the quality of the drive. Demand for senior living. Currently, the city of Westfield has 7 age-restricted facilities within 2.5-mile radius of another 5 facilities under construction. Based on the current numbers, there are nearly 1,055 plus units either under construction or recently completed within 5 miles of this site. Traffic. It's great that Westfield is growing. We're going to have more traffic. The proposed project has, I think it was referenced, 164 units and will certainly need additional support along Spring Mill to compensate for the increase in traffic in this case. What would be proposed to maintain movement along the road? Reference point: since 2020, traffic along this road has increased from 2,500 to over 4,500. If anybody's driven around there, they know it is an act of patience. Property tax concerns. I'd also like to point out that similar to the Vita projects in nearby Greenfield, Marion, and Whiteland, Indiana, it appears that this will be a low-income or affordable housing development. This type of project has an alternative property tax formula, resulting in lower taxes paid to the city, school district, and others. Having an affordable income restricted project in such a prime location is not in the best interest of the immediate neighborhoods of the city of Westfield, the Grand Park Sports Complex campus, or other businesses in the Wheeler Landing area. There's more than enough market rate senior communities already operating in Westfield, and rezoning a prime piece of real estate in the 32 overlay district for this use is potentially a flaw and should be looked at rather carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else present in the building tonight that wishes to speak? Have we received any email correspondence yet?
No emails.
No emails. All right. They've probably had ample time since the beginning, and if there's nobody else present, I will go ahead at 7:27 and close the public hearing. Mr. Skelton, if you would like to respond to the public comment, if you have information that you're ready that you can do so, please do.
Sure. From on the setback issue, just to be in line with, just to give a little bit of perspective, I think in the 32 overlay zone area, the idea is to have these structures address the street instead of putting the parking field between the street and the structure. This accommodates that. So when you're driving up the corridor, you see this beautiful Western European architecture instead of a parking field and then a building. So that's the whole purpose of that. This is not the first facility that Vita Investment Holdings has constructed, and if we need to get into the details about the privacy of residents, we can. But I don't know that that's something that the plan commission is as interested in. Not sure what the building materials comments are. It's all masonry and hardy plank, 360-degree architecture. And from a right-of-way perspective, this will have to be a platted lot, and so to the extent that there is additional right-of-way needed, it would be dedicated probably contemporaneously with the frontage road dedication if it was required. And then lastly, I think this is an area, it's kind of unique. Everything to the west is located in a TIF district. I know this is probably less of a plan commission concern, but is in a TIF district. This is not in a TIF district. And this is a tax-paying entity, so they will be paying property taxes. So with that, if there are any other questions, I'm happy to try to respond, and I'm sure Zeke would be happy to help me if I need it.
All right, thank you. The addition of the language allowing the dedication for Tournament Trail, I was quite happy to see that because I had raised a question right off the bat when this first came up that seemed like that was a very important segment from ditch to Spring Mill, or Spring Mill to ditch, to have the capability of doing. It's still, I guess, to be determined if we are going to choose to do it, but I think it's critical that we have that capability.
I'm not sure everybody is quite aligned on that issue. We were kind of instructed not to include that.
I understand there's varying opinions on that. I was hoping that we'd have that opportunity. It seemed like it was an important one to me, but I may have a minority opinion. Wouldn't be the first time.
Well, this does not foreclose that opportunity. So.
Which is kind of my point. Glad it's still there. Other commissioner questions or comments for staff or the petitioner's team, including his adept-looking board of directors that he has with him? Anybody?
My first reaction on this was nothing wrong with the concept at all. I think the proposed development, everything, I had no issue with that. It was just, really, that's what we're going to put so close to 32? So then I started looking at, I'd pull up the map and not just go off the top of my head and stuff like that. It's only like, I don't know, 150 yards from 32, thereabouts. And of course, I continue to think of 32, employment corridor, businesses, retail, things like that. You will have employees here. It's not a high density of employment. And so I just was kind of wrestling with that. And I guess it's not terribly different than, farther to the west, we've got some residential that's pretty close. And actually just south on Spring Mill, I always forget the name of the apartments down there. But it is closer. I was just curious what everybody else thinks of that, just specifically the location and not using it for other business opportunities.
Might I give you a little context on that?
Sure, please.
So
welcome.
We've shopped this with all the council members. We've gotten very warm feedback on this proposal and the land use itself. The one school of thought out there is that from Spring Mill west, there should be a lessening of the retail. And so really, in today's market, given the office situation, when you're looking at institutional type uses and medical and maybe some business park, related type of things. And so we're one of those. And we've tried to locate this in an area where, VITA doesn't just randomly invest money in real estate. I mean, they've done a lot of market studies to make sure that this is a ripe market.
I'll jump in to your point, Andre. South, it is, I just had it pulled up, Maple Knoll. So similar situation where it's apartments. They have minimal employees. Here, they would have more employees. And to Skelton's point, that as we move west, wanting to lessen the restaurant row, tire shops, so on and so forth, this kind of helps transition into that. But then also, no matter what, with this in particular, it would be over the 1% tax base. So,
yeah, all of that is helpful context. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I would, I guess, just challenge all members then to continue that consistently. If we're staying, it starts dropping off at Spring Mill, then we don't want this to become a pocket where then due west of here, we go back to what's east of here, right? So that's just kind of what I was looking at. And again, I was wrestling with my first impression versus then actually getting out the map and looking at all the things that are past. And it does tend to be just pretty much one property or two east-west properties off of 32. So this isn't really that inconsistent.
and on that note, that's why there's kind of a point of discussion regarding the frontage road of Tournament Trail, and there's differing opinions wherever they may be, but just looking to be a little bit more creative in how that looks, as opposed to, lack of a better term, cookie cutter format to the east. So,
And if I might, I had the same reaction at first. Why would we want to put something like this so close to this area? But even just north, there's a housing development. Obviously this is a little bit different. It's, different concept. It's got a larger building, and then it's got the quadruplex, whatever you would call them. But I also don't think this takes away, if the one of the two opinions on Tournament Trail and how this gets developed prevails. I don't think this takes away from that. I mean, there's plenty of space along, closer to 32 that could continue, again, depending on which opinion wins out. And so I don't necessarily, as I kind of wrestled with it, just based on its location, apartments to the south, housing to the north. Again, TAC will have to do its, traffic stuff, and that'll be on them. But I mean, this is just going to continue to grow anyway. Not that we should be laissez-faire about that, but I personally think this fits well based on kind of what's in the area. I was first like, oh man, I really want to ask that question, and then kind of moved away from that position as I studied it more. The map really helped.
Thank you.
And thank you. That's a good conversation, which is what I was inviting. That wasn't necessarily brought up in opposition. I'm getting there.
Okay. Mr. Mooney, were you gonna want to make a comment? No. Others to my left here. Any questions or comments?
My question, last question, would just be for staff, if they would feel comfortable enough for us making a recommendation tonight, or if there need to be more time come next meeting.
If you guys feel comfortable making a recommendation, I will not require you to go to workshop and have nothing to discuss. If you feel that you're equipped to make a recommendation tonight, then by all means, go ahead.
So the ordinance is in final form condition, since we didn't have anything to send it back to less than final form.
Yeah, I'm comfortable where the ordinance is. The frontage road piece was really the only sticking point that I had, which has been resolved.
Okay. I had echoed that same concern initially about, really, this site? I've wrestled with it a little bit too, and as I said earlier, I was concerned about Tournament Trail. Not so much in anticipation of trying to be able to continue the kind of development that we've seen east of it, which has garnered some concerns, but for the opportunity to make certain we don't have to be dealing with more road cuts onto 32, which was kind of one of the driving factors that we've got to have a Tournament Trail or something both sides, otherwise we end up with a bigger nightmare traffic-wise. So having that, even if it's not for the kind of reason that it exists already in other places, I think it's important to have that availability.
On that note, I will say I attended earlier this evening a informational meeting with NDOT regarding the stretch between Westfield and Noblesville. And when you look at that stretch, you see all of these road cuts, whether it be from homes or businesses or whatever it is. And so just visually, when you're looking at that map, that is a really good supportive reasoning why we need a frontage roads like Tournament Trail, especially in just this quote unquote little stretch between Spring Mill and Ditch. You don't want very many more road cuts as we already have, or any traffic lights, so forth like that. So I look forward to just the creativity on what that might look like in the future. And I, again, appreciate the petitioner providing the opportunity for the city.
All right, thank you. Since we don't have a heck of a lot of comments, let's see if the Plan Commission membership is good with waiving the requirement for a workshop meeting and moving on to sending a recommendation tonight.
Mr. President, I'll move that we waive a workshop meeting on 2405 PUD-11 Vita of Westfield.
All right, we have a move to forego the workshop meeting. Is there a second to that?
I will second that.
All right, motion from Mike Neal, seconded by Mark Keene to waive the requirement for a workshop meeting. If staff will please call the roll.
Dr. Keene?
Yes.
Mr. Maui?
Yes.
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Bunkerfist?
Yes.
Mr. Horke?
Yes.
And Mr. Khan?
Yes.
All right, workshop is waived. So we are now at the point where we can proceed with a recommendation to council.
Guess I'll continue. Mr. President, I'll make a motion to recommend favorably to the City Council 2405-PUD-11 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion from Mike Neal, seconded by Mr. Khan, and staff can please this for a favorable recommendation to council as presented. If we'll please call the roll.
Dr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Maui,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkerfist,
Yes.
Mr. Roque,
Yes.
and Mr. Khan.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board of Directors. Greatly appreciate it.
Are you getting school credit? School credit for being here in advance of civics class? Yeah, it could be a merit badge too. All right, moving on. Next public hearing item is from the Westfield Washington School Corporation, petition 2405-PUD-10 to turn the soon-to-be former library into their event center. Before staff recaps and petitioner presents, a reminder, if there is anybody listening, attending virtually, if you intend to comment on this, please be certain to start typing as soon as you can and send an email to planners@westfield.in.gov, including the school's event center information in your subject line. Staff, please enlighten us.
Thank you, President. Members of the board, for the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item presented before you tonight is the Westfield Washington Schools Event Center PUD proposal. The subject development is approximately 2.62 acres located at 333 West Hooper Street. As the site exists today, there is a building in which the Westfield Washington Library, previously occupied, as President stated earlier, prior to moving into their new build within the Grand Millennium area south of SR 32. Now that the building on site is unoccupied, Westfield Washington Schools is requesting an opportunity to utilize the building for their needs. The Westfield Washington Event Center PUD proposal is a change of zoning request to permit associated site and building improvements to be able to develop additional educational programming opportunities within the space. This item is before you this evening for a public hearing. It has been properly noticed and advertised, and staff has received no public comments related to the petition. In addition, the petitioner held a neighborhood meeting on April 24th at the Westfield Middle School with a synopsis of the meeting provided within Exhibit 7. There were no members of the public in attendance at that neighborhood meeting. Matt Skelton of Church, Hill, and Antrim is here tonight to present details of the project. He's available for questions, as am I, if you guys have questions for staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Skelton, the floor is yours again.
All right. For the record, Matt Skelton, Church, Hill, and Antrim, 116 North Union Street here in town. And I will just try to supplement what Ryan has said and try not to repeat. The school's intended use of the facility is to host hospitality, event planning, educational activities, culinary arts space, and educational space for life skills education. And I think this is the 18 to 22 age range. The building is being remodeled significantly on the inside, and really the land use is permitted today. The school owns the property today. This is really to accommodate about a 3,400 square foot, for lack of a better word, reskinning of the building. It'll make it look like part of the school campus. And with that, I will stop talking at this point. And if there are no remaining issues, we would also appreciate, if possible, avoiding the
Trip to a workshop meeting.
Thank you. Workshop meeting and receiving a recommendation this evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. It is 7:44, and I will open a public hearing on this item. Is there anybody in the room that chooses to comment? Apparently not.
Yep, we have no one signed up at this time.
All right. We will pause for just a little bit while I give one final reminder to potential virtual attendees to email us at Westfield or at planners@westfield.in.gov and include the school event center proposal in the subject line. We'll just hold for about another minute since we've already had the notice. If there's a comment you can't type quickly, just tell us, hold on, we're still typing. Get us an email. another 30 seconds, and we'll close if there hasn't been any communication. Inbox is still feeling lonely.
Yep, no emails.
All right. Closing the public hearing at 7:46. Are there any questions or comments from fellow commission members here for staff or the petitioner?
So I don't want to be disrespectful for anybody who could speak after me and certainly may disagree, but this just looks like a no-brainer. I mean, the use, the skinning of it to look like the school, it's not a campus technically, but functionally the school campus that surrounds it, it just looks like a slam dunk to me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where that was going when you started, and I was like, oh. I agree. I mean, I think we're blessed to have the opportunity to even have the, funding with our schools. We have great schools. That's part of the reason why we moved to Westfield for our kids who will eventually go to school. And they have the ability to have this type of programming, this space, this opportunity, and to be able to actually move on it for the good of the public. Not every school, especially school districts are struggling across the state, but Westfield Washington Schools has an opportunity to do this, and I mean, it looks fantastic. I think what they're going to do with it is great, and I'm fully supportive.
Thank you.
Same slam dunk. It's event space for our foodies program, which is amazing that we have that opportunity here now for our students, as well as also for available space for the Rock Shop, Rocks Media, and then as Skelton alluded to, Shermont Connections, which is house our special ed students who have aged out of the high school.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt, just out of curiosity, is this a school asset only, or is it open to the public? Do you know?
I understand that it could. There may be opportunity for it to be rented.
Okay.
But I don't think that's not the purpose of it.
Okay.
It's really fascinating. I mean, I think Mr. McCarty hit on it, but all of the events will be planned, performed, coordinated by kids, and so it's teaching them the hospitality business, and Westfield's in the hospitality business. So I mean, it's a great program.
I can answer that question a little bit, just having from further conversation knowledge. On the map on page 3, where it has the interior layout, you can see the warming kitchen. I do know that kitchen will be off limits to the community and be solely for those that are ServSafe certified and the students, but then those who look to rent out the facilities can use the warming kitchen for any food or other event needs.
Well, I have to make one comment. The usage is a little different. It's taken 19 years to get here from the first time we proposed this. So if you live long enough, sometimes you see finality.
19 years, not bad. You were a tiny
Lots
little.
of remonstrance and everything.
Yeah, you were just a tiny little superintendent newbie back then, almost. Huh? Any other questions or comments? I think it's excellent that we've got something this planned and organized that'll slide right into its new use and look like it belongs there and probably look like it was always there. So let's get it done starting in June, whenever it is that the last book leaves and goes to the new place.
I move to forego the public hearing on this item.
Second.
Well, not the public hearing.
Workshop.
The workshop meeting.
Workshop meeting.
So we have a motion from Mark Keene to waive the workshop and second from Omar. Mr. Khan. So staff, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Maui,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Bungapus,
Yes.
Mr. Horke,
Yes.
Mr. Khan,
Yes.
and Dr. Keene.
Yes.
All right. Workshop has been waived. That being the case, we are now ready for a motion to council.
I make a motion to send a favorable recommendation to the city council for 2405 PUD-10, the Westfield Washington Schools Event Center PUD.
Thank you.
I second.
It was Ryan.
Oh, I called that. No, just kidding.
We don't have to fight about it.
No.
We're all friends here. All right, so we have a motion to send a favorable recommendation to council by Andre Maury, seconded by Ryan Mooney. If staff can please call the roll for this.
Mr. Maui,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Bogopus,
Yes.
Mr. Horke,
Yes.
Mr. Khan,
Yes.
and Dr. King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. It is approved.
Thank
It's
you.
gonna be one heck of a difference inside that building.
Thank you.
I was just picturing where things were today as I was looking at it. All right, that dispenses with our public hearing items. There are two items continued to a future meeting, the Osborne Trails PUD Amendment 4 and iBeach 31 at Grand Park, which I thought was originally going to be here, but that got dropped off before the agenda was published. Hopefully things are coming together on that because there's a lot of concerns, at least from one Plan Commission member on that one. Taking us down to reports and comments from Plan Commission members. Do we have things that we would like to share with each other?
I'll just do the council update real quick. Looking at.
That's next.
Okay, never mind.
I mean, we can move right into it if there is anybody else that
Get
wants
it
to.
done in under an hour.
Yeah,
He does know the Pacers are tipping off here shortly, doesn't he?
Yeah. So the last council meeting, there were two proclamations. One for Municipal Clerks Week, that is this week, as well as this coming weekend is National Letter Carriers, which is a partnership with Open Doors here in the community for Stamp Out Hunger. There's a presentation for our newly released capital and infrastructure improvement plan over the next 8 years. I highly encourage anyone and everyone to take a look at that. Very insight for what's to come. And then under old business, we approved North Point 2, and new business, as well as approved that evening, was establishing Fund 255 for Westfield Welcome. Now that Welcome is under the Events and Facilities Department. And then I just want to just say a thanks and appreciation to Kevin's team for it is Public Service Recognition Week. I know Lauren already left, but for those that are in attendance, as well as the entire team, I appreciate everything that you guys do, and I very much so appreciated everything that we've been able to work together on so far this year.
Thank you. Plat Committee met since our last meeting, and after what seems like a lifetime, Claiborne Farms has all of its approvals. As far as I know, it's all the approvals anyway. The next two meetings are already canceled, so there won't be any reports to provide there for a while. It occurred to me that there was one thing I could have brought up at the beginning of the reports and comments. You all should have seen a email that mentioned a hand conference tomorrow. I responded. I went to that last year, found it kind of interesting, and indicated if there were other attendees that were interested, feel free to give the seats to somebody else, but if there were still open seats, I wouldn't mind going again. I understand I was the only one that said that. Is there still one seat available? Staff, do we know? Yeah. Right. Right.
I'm out of town that day, so I can't.
Well, it's tomorrow.
Yeah. It's next week.
Or is it next week? I was thinking it was a really near. I haven't looked at my calendar closely enough, I guess. All right. Well, you do have a little more planning time than to think about it, but we don't have another meeting in between then, so this is my opportunity to mention it. I'm certainly happy to go. I think it was pretty interesting hearing the thoughts and comments from a lot of folks that work with hand and the housing.
Next week, May 16th.
Okay. I had it on my calendar wrong. If anybody has availability that day and cares to do so, yeah, jump in.
Yep, there'll be a few of us from the city there as well, so I'll be in attendance.
Yeah.
So I'll see you there.
I got the invite and saw your name on it. So, all right, now staff. Last report and comment would be from you. What do you have for us tonight?
Yeah,
Anything?
You took my thunder there. So nothing new.
No.
I do
Sorry.
appreciate you guys adjusting your schedules coming on a Wednesday. That's a little bit out of cycle for us. We will have one more of these Wednesday meetings due to the November election, so kind of keep that on your radar. But otherwise, we're back in Monday in 2 weeks. So thanks.
And we do have agenda items for the May workshop meeting, so we will have a meeting
Yep,
at
we
City
should have
Services in a little less than 2 weeks.
We should have the Osborne Trails item.
We should.
Osborne Trails item.
Osborne, yeah, that's what I thought. So it is now what 7:56.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Ready for a motion to adjourn, which I gather was from Mr. McCarty and was seconded by Mr. Neal. So we're all here. We can voice vote. Everybody in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody not in favor of adjourning? Apparently we are adjourned. So I'll go see if the Pacers can beat the Knicks now.
Yes, sir.
And actually have